Nate's Wild Ride.
And welcome to Nate's Wild Ride Cast, where we talk all things Colorado with a little bit of an edge. If you're new here, the goal is to entertain, inform, maybe even get you a little bit enlightened. So buckle up, keep your arms and legs inside at all times, and enjoy the ride.
And on today's Wild Ride, we're not going anywhere. We are once again joined by some local musician action. This guy has been around. You've probably seen him. If you've seen a metal show or, like a handful of metal shows in Grand Junction, you've probably seen this guy around for years. Anyway, he needs no introduction. Nick Sanchez, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I really apprete you coming in, chatting with me.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I got to get that in there before it's too late.
No, I appreciate it. So, man, you're in Soul Aggression. You are the rippin' lead guitarist.
Sometimes.
And you've been in that band for how long?
Oh, we actually started as a band called Heartfelt.
Okay.
And then Jeff, you lose players, and then after a while you want to, Heartfelt sounds kind of a slow Liberace. But we changed our name. Jeff came up with the name Soul Aggression, changed our name. So me and Jeff have been playing, I think, and Marcus have been playing for over 32 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew you guys were a staple. I moved to Grand Junction, as I actually told you a little bit ago, 2019, but I was in a band that played the Mesa Theater 3 times back in like 05 and 06. And I remember seeing you guys on posters. I may have seen you guys live.
These guys are playing this time? What was your band?
That band was called Volition.
Oh, okay.
But then I was in a band that was like kind of the baby of Failed State.
From those guys from out of town, right?
Dennis Valencia and Joel and...
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I was in their band after that.
One of those guys, I think the guitar player was a preacher's kid, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Bald-headed guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott O'Kelly.
Yeah, Scott.
How funny.
That's funny, yeah.
All right.
I remember him telling me, because you guys can't play that kind of music and be Christian, right? And I'm like, yeah, why not? And he goes, nah, my dad doesn't let me. We never could grow up listening to that kind of music. I said, man, we listen to Living Sacrifice and Deliverance and Tourniquet. Those bands were the Christian metal scene. They were like your big four, the Metallica and Slayer.
Yeah.
Those were the bands I grew up listening to that were just as hard, but they weren't all, they were the Jesus side instead of the Satan side.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I remember Scott. Remember him walking. I gave him a Living Sacrifice video. He said, go watch this. He was like, came back and goes, dude, that music isn't Christian. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's heavy, man. I'm telling you. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Scott.
Cool, man. Well, let's go back even further in time. Tell me about your musical journey and kind of how it started and how you started this journey to where you're just this smoking guitar player.
Well, I went to this thing called the 1982 Youth Convention.
Okay.
And, back then you had a Walkman.
Mm-hmm.
You put cassettes in, and it had a band called, somebody had lent me a tape called the Sweet Comfort Band. And I was like, it's all right. And then the other car that was behind us traveling up there with us, that guy in his Walkman had a band called the Resurrection Band. And the album was called Colors. And when we got back into the car, I just, holy smokes, what is this? This is like whatever these guys are doing on this album CD thing, or it was a cassette. Whatever they're doing, I got to learn how to do this. And somebody said, well, that's electric guitar. And I'm like, yeah, but Sweet Comfort Band plays guitar. He goes, no, this is like distorted. These guys, if you were into, I guess, Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and AC/DC, these guys were the equivalent back then. So, back then you don't have media like you have now where you can just go look all this stuff up.
Sure, yeah.
So you'd have to find these guys through like magazines. And so Colors had just came out, and they were putting out a new album called Mommy Don't Love Daddy, and that was like, you start getting all the next stuff, and they get harder and harder, and their guitar player gets better and better. And if you go find their previous stuff, it was like old 70s hard rock,
okay,
heavy metal. So first thing was the Resurrection Band got me into learning how to play guitar. And then as you start going to church and stuff and finding these guys out, you go to youth group, and the youth group would have bands that would play. And there was a band in town here in Grand Junction called Hundredfold. And it had John Capetto, Mark Wilkerson, Chuck Austin. I can't remember the bass player's name was Tom. And they had a keyboard player, girl. Well, anyway, they would play, and they were playing good hard rock metal. We were young, we'd go to the youth thing and we'd watch them play, and they'd be showing off and just shredding all that stuff. Well, John Capetto he was the pastor at Faith Heights, his son-in-law now runs it. But, I see John every Sunday, and, they have the praise team or whatever, and they rock it up,
Wow.
Thomas knows. Thomas played drums for them for a while. But it's weird because growing up listening to that kind of music, and then for me it was like I'd listen to it and I'd want to hear the next album to see if they'd gotten harder or if they kind of got more softer.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't get any harder stuff out of the Res Band, and then somebody said, "Have you heard of Stryper?"
Oh, yeah.
Heard of Stryper. Started listening to them, and I was like, wow, these guys, their guitar playing's really good. But they were kind of like glammy, They kind of looked like chicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas the Resurrection Band looked like a bunch of old 70s dudes, with all long hair, hippied out. And then I started getting into Deliverance. And Deliverance was like thrash metal.
Okay.
Real speed, real quick. The equivalent of Exodus that's coming, that heavy stuff,
Yeah.
And then there was Living Sacrifice, who was like Slayer. And then, you started getting into the bands that you couldn't understand anything they were saying, but man, they were fast. And it was like Vengeance Rising, and then Tourniquet, guys who were just over the top.
Yeah.
And I pretty much stayed in that vein for a while until the bands you get into like today, where you get bands like, Theocracy, is that the name of that band? Just over the top, real heavy players. We were talking, he was showing me some bands that he's listening to today that he was showing me on the way over here, Redeemed by the Blood. I mean, just heavy bands.
Yeah.
Where the metal hasn't stopped, and the message hasn't stopped either, but it's just, they stay with the times, they stay progressively where they're at today.
We're going to continue my chat with Nick Sanchez, local guitar legend here in Grand Junction, the Grand Valley, Colorado, here in just a few, so keep it locked right here on 95 Rock. We're taking a little detour today, going on a wild ride in the past, in the present, with, a local musician you've probably heard of, probably seen live if you're at all involved in the local music scene, and, might even call him a friend. I feel super fortunate to do that. Nick Sanchez is our guest today. So here, let's continue my interview with Nick Sanchez.
I had to learn how to play guitar, man, and it sucked because I went and bought a guitar. I wanted a Flying V, just the first thing I wanted. I was working with my dad and saved my money and went to the music store and told the guy I walked in, I said, I want that guitar right there. It was a Gibson Flying V. And he goes, well, if you got $1,200, I'll pull it off the wall for you. And
yeah, and what year was that?
Oh, yeah, this was like, I was probably only like 14.
Okay,
yeah. 15.
So even more now.
Oh, well, yeah, Gibson.
And I've been playing guitar for 23 years. I haven't spent that much money on a guitar yet. I can't yet. Not there yet. Well, anyway, I digress.
Well, you haven't seen my house.
No, I haven't. I want to now.
I have a terrible habit. But, I was all downtrodden. I went back to my job, and my dad said, so, did you get that guitar? And I'm like, no, he wanted $1,200. He goes, oh, and the coworker says, well, how much money do you got? And I was like, well, I got $200. And he goes, hey, well, let me call my cousin or something. And he had a little, it was a Hohner, Paul copy, and a little amp for $200. And I took that guitar home, and I banged on it. I didn't know how to play it. Just pounded and pounded, and my dad came in the room. He said, you got to go outside and play. You're driving me crazy. But then came back, because I was splitting time with my mom and dad. Then I came back to live with my mom for the wintertime. We were going to church, and the pastor came up to me. He goes, hey, man, I heard you got a guitar. I said, yeah, but I don't know how to play it. And he goes, well, you got to play that thing for Jesus. I'm like, oh, okay. So I just met some kids. I saw some kid doing a bunch of hammer-ons one day.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, show me how to do that. He's all into Van Halen, and just like, wow, this guy's incredible. And I go to school with him. So he showed me all these tricks. And then,
oh, nice, okay.
The guy's name was Dave Valdez, and he was a stoner, man. So I sat behind him in class, and he remember Battle Axe by the band Quiet Riot?
Yeah.
So he played that thing at an assembly.
Oh, cool,
yeah,
okay.
And I was like, I sit by this guy this whole time, and so I said, hey, can you show me how to play some of that stuff? He goes, I give lessons at Back Porch Music, $8 for half an hour. I'm like, okay.
Rest in peace, Back Porch.
So he showed me all this tapping stuff and all these different tricks, and He goes, you got to hear this guy named Yngwie Malmsteen. I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, dude, what are you doing to me? You're making me not want to play guitar.
You're right.
But it is what it is. I can play guitar, but I'm like a chump at it. I can show off a little bit, but I'm not no theory. There's nothing. There's nothing here rolling around in the head. I was like, what key are you playing it in? Yeah, so.
I've seen you, man. I've seen Soul Aggression numerous times, and yeah,
but it was against your will.
It was not.
We're going to hear more from my interview with Nick Sanchez, local guitar legend here in the Grand Valley in Colorado. A little more a little later, so keep it right here on 95 Rock.
We're talking to Nick Sanchez today. You know him from Soul Aggression. He's been around the Grand Valley playing metal for a while. Just so honored to have you here, man. Really appreciate it. So, like we talked to Thomas last time, is there any bands that you open for or any like really cool shows that stick out more than others? Because I'm sure there's a lot.
Right.
But we talked about POD.
That was a big show. We opened up for Winger when they came here.
Okay.
I was telling Thomas not too long ago, it's funny, Red Beach was the guitar player in that band, right, at that time. And, you know, that little kind of like doorway that goes out the back of the alley where you're loading your gear.
At the Mesa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Red Beach was coming in, and I was going out because we had just set up. That was like that moment of Dumb and Dumber where he comes out of the 7-Eleven and goes, big gulps. Okay, you know, and then turns our box off, right?
Well,
so here
take
comes
it easy.
Here comes Red Beach. He comes walking in. I'm like, you're Red Beach, and I grab his hand, I shook it, and I'm just shaking his hand. He's yeah, and I'm like, okay, and then I just let him go and I walk off.
Well, see you later.
I did the same thing with the lead singer from Warrant. Janie
Lane, yeah.
They came into town, and I was out there back by their bus, and I just remember going up to him, "You're Janie Lane," because hey, I'll admit I like some of that glam music, metal.
I will say, "Heaven's" a wonderful song. I can listen to that song.
I thought Janie Lane was a great singer. Anyway, AM kept up with him after Cherry Pie, so it's a pretty big thing for me to say. But yeah, same thing. I shook his hand, and all I could say was, "You make really good music." It's like I was like in a trance. We got to open up for a guy named Daryl Mansfield. He's a harmonica player.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And it was kind of weird because we had the gear. Like, hey, can you bring your PA? We'll pay you to bring your PA. We're going to put the show on. Blah blah blah. Sure, no, why not? So we set up, and it was in the Avalon of all places, and they had all these little amplifiers. For his harmonica playing.
Okay.
But they were like little Fenders. They weren't very tall, like maybe...
Little 10-inch amps or something?
And they were all stacked in the back. And we have a video of it, and we're playing it. So when they told us his plane hasn't showed up, and we had only planned on playing like half-hour set, and then it was going to be him. Half-hour set is over, and they're waving our singer, Jeff. Can you guys play some more songs? Well, Daryl Mansfield's not a metal guy. He's like a harmonica blues player and singer. Yeah. So we had only picked out our slow songs that we knew, and I'm like, we might have to start breaking into maybe some of our harder stuff, but we wasn't as hard as we are now then. We were kind of glammy, I guess.
Okay.
And so we started picking out some songs, and, the crowd was there to see him, not us. And it was funny because we played a song, and we didn't, so pretty soon we just like, we'll play some church songs. Well, anyway, on the video, my bass player is Jeff's all bouncing around on the stage, and Marcus is all playing, and these little amps are behind us, and Marcus steps on one.
Oh, no.
So you see Marcus in the video go like, he's going to lose his balance, and then he comes back, and you see Jeff go, whoa! But it was just so funny. That was one of our funnest shows. We played a show in Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Okay.
They paid us like we were rock stars. So
really?
It was crazy money. And then they asked us to come back again. We're like, whoa, okay. And I was telling the guys, they put us in the motels that were all, gave us a food PD, everything, anything you wanted. You want to go somewhere? We'll take you wherever you want to go. And they're just like, dude, they saw us play here in Grand Junction. And the reason why he remembers our band, because I had an acrylic BC Rich I played on stage.
What color was it?
It was a green. Like
I had that same one, the Mockingbird.
Yeah.
I had that same guitar.
It's for sale at my house if you'd like to buy it.
That's all right.
Come on, man.
That's why I have this posture.
It's
it
heavy.
weighs 1,000
Heavy
pounds.
as a wreck. Yeah, they're heavy, man. So I got a bunch of those acrylics, by the way, if you want to.
Cool.
If you ever want them.
I want to see them. Yeah.
No, you need to buy them.
If you're okay,
times are hard for me now.
Let me check them out, and then I'll buy them, quote unquote.
Yeah, put them on layaway. It's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have so many good shows that we played. I can't think of any of the, I don't know, bad shows where when you play, it's fun.
Yeah, sure.
The crappy thing is like if you can't hear what's going on.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Or if you totally botch a song. I've had some shows where I botch songs where I'm just thinking,
Sure.
I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what chord we're supposed to be at. I don't know how we started the song. You know,
I mean,
we call it a 2-second practice. Like, how's that song go?
Everybody has Spinal Tap moments when you're in a band. No doubt.
I don't really know of any bad.
Well, that's good then.
Bad.
That's what you want. That's good. A good problem to have.
I don't think we've gotten any fights with any other bands. No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Calling you guys out, Peach Street Revival. Yeah, just kidding. I like teasing Dio too from El Camino Burnout.
Oh yeah, Dio's a buddy.
I like teasing him. I like teasing Craig from the Dead Cowboys too, because they're guitar players.
Yeah.
And when you start knowing all your other guitar player buddies, you got to call them out on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just that's what I like doing too.
Awesome.
Tagging their names.
Nick Sanchez, my guest today, a local guitar legend here in the Grand Valley in Colorado. We're going to talk to him one more time. Come back here in just a little bit and wrap up our interview. So keep it locked right here on 95 Rock. So we're joined by Nick Sanchez today. It's been a hoot, man. Such an honor. I would love to bring you back sometime and get more of these stories. Would you be down with something like that?
We got some stories.
Hell yeah.
We got stories where, and this has been happening, and we're like, oh, what are you doing?
He was motioning being flashed.
Yeah, and the girls are like 90 and... they look like they were 90, but they're actually probably in their late 40s. Because we're
up there in age.
Yeah.
Down there.
Hey, but I just want to let you know that only happened we've played like biker shows.
Oh yeah,
you know
those
what I mean?
are like rallies and stuff.
Yeah, and it gets a little crazy sometimes.
Those are fun.
And then usually about that time we start packing up. Like, you guys are leaving? Well, we don't know. And that's another thing about Soul Aggression is we don't do cover songs.
Right,
We
all
play
original.
All originals. So when you hear us play, it's a conglomeration of all of us together. Because I can't play the drums and I can't play the stuff that he plays. And, when you hear Thomas play with me, I'm kind of laid back. I mean, compared to he's doing all the Zakk Wylde squeals, But growing up listening to Soul Aggression, I used to do all that crazy harmonic and whammy bar over the top Floyd Rose breaking strings just to see what it sounds like.
Yeah,
but,
all the flashy stuff.
Yeah, and now so I'm 55, and I got the body of a what? No, I'm going to say a 25,000-year-old person. Anyway, no, I'm hanging in there. But
yeah, man, yeah.
It's a struggle, but because the metal they play today, holy smokes.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be good.
There's some of these kids, man. Polyphia, is that the band?
Come on. Yeah.
Tim Henson is his name.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
You might as well just start slapping people in the audience.
Yeah.
With your guitar.
Anyway, we've been talking to Nick Sanchez. Nick, man, thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
I really want to do this again sometime.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Again, a big thank you to Nick Sanchez for coming in and chatting with me about himself. Man, we're definitely going to have him back, but I want to hear from you. Who do you want me to talk to next, all right? It could be a local musician, somebody involved in the community some other way. Shoot us an app chat message, all right? You can do that on your 95 Rock mobile app.